Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's podcast. I hope that you had a wonderful holiday season, whatever you were doing, and are looking forward to the new year. And we are going to be talking about that new year during this episode. Well, I made it through Christmas with only 2 meltdowns this year, which was really a record for me. and I was very proud of myself for not having a massive meltdown on Christmas Day. I usually hit the holidays, and that was the time where I had been working all year and it was my letdown period. So usually I would go into massive meltdown. So this year it wasn't the same. My meltdown was a little bit different this year because I was really just agitated and triggered that I had to go to the grocery store. And there's really nothing better than going to the grocery store on the holiday with all these other people. But it was my fault because I have waited until the very last minute to go shop for gifts and shop for food. And I was hosting this year. I about lost it. I think it was just energetically too much, and trying to deal with all these upgrades at the same time, and these energetic shifts that are happening, and then being around crowds of people was not a good mix for me. So the good news is that by the time Christmas came around, I was completely cool as a cucumber and enjoyed my time. And I had a very simple and laid back holiday. So I hope yours was great. I hope you didn't have too many meltdowns and that you made it through that full moon in Cancer, which was hitting us right on Christmas Day into the 26th. And oh, what a wonderful time to have a full moon in Cancer when we're with our family and we are potentially emotional. So I hope you all made it through great. So, as I'm recording this episode, we are at the end of December and 2023. This has been, what a year. What a year for 2023. I actually sat down last night with my husband and we did this really great exercise where we were doing these reflections on 2023 and doing some goal setting. We've never done this before. This is the first time we did it, but I was listening to Mel Robbins, and she was talking about how she has this workbook that you can do to do this. And I was like, oh, we've never done this before. I think this might be a good idea. And it was great because we went month by month, and you just don't remember everything that you do in a year until you look back at photographs or you have conversations about it. It's very easy to forget everything. And I was looking back through all the photographs and going through my phone as we were doing this exercise, and I just could not believe how much happened in 2023. It really felt like 5 years in 1 year. And every month felt like a different chapter that occurred. And every single month had a different theme and a different focus. And it really, truly, I joke around a little bit about this, but I have to say this has probably been the most transformational year of my life. I really am not even kind of sure who I am anymore. But I do feel very assured that I know who I am. It's a strange feeling because it was really about letting go of everything that I thought I knew about myself and embracing the most authentic version of myself. And it looks very different than what it did starting out in January, for sure. This was my 8-year in numerology. And in Chinese astrology, this was the water rabbit year. And I am a water rabbit, which I found out this year. And my great Chinese astrologer, Beth Grace, told me that this year would be a very transformational year because whenever the pillar for the collective and your pillar are the same thing, which was the water rabbit, there's an amplification of energy that happens. And the water rabbit is Scorpio energy. This was all about death and rebirth. This was all about transformation at the deepest levels, tackling what's hidden under the surface, wrestling with darkness, wrestling with shadows, all of that to transmute it and bring light to it. And that was exactly what happened this year. I would say in reflection that if there was really any big gift that came out of 2023, for me, it was about moving into a place to look at everything from the higher perspective and being able to get in a place of neutrality, of balance, of observation versus reaction. Granted, I did have a meltdown at Christmas, but really for the really hard stuff, the hard things that came my way, the big lessons that came my way, most of the time I was able to handle that in a very different way than I ever have before. And it was from a place of neutrality. And that really showed me how much evolution I have made and how much change I have done and how much work I have done in order to get in that place, and how much I am operating more from the higher picture, the bigger picture, the higher mind, the spiritual plane to look at things. And as I look back and I was reflecting about all this, I just started laughing because the the amount of energy and attention that I gave to certain things and the ridiculousness of all of it, I think we as humans tend to get wrapped up in, the feelings and the emotions and the hurt. And when you step back and you look at it, you're like, this is just a big story. You realize that this is a story. This is a play that's playing out, and you are in charge of your story. And when you realize that, things become so much easier. And you also put more value in yourself to step up and say, this is what I'm going to tolerate. This is what I'm not going to tolerate. This is what I'm going to engage with. This is what I'm not going to engage with. And things begin to shift in a much easier, flowing way that just is so transformational and so freeing. Freedom was the big theme of this year as well. Freedom. That's my life path, freedom. And there was a point that I finally stepped into that, where it was like, this is the point where I have achieved freedom. I also feel more of an embodiment of my higher self. There was this merging of all of the lifetimes into this now moment. And the other thing that I have both realized and been working on is how do I transcend beyond this human experience? How do I move into an all-knowing outlook about this thing called life on Earth? And the energies have been supporting us. They've been shifting around us to help us move further into this position. And when you realize this is why you're here in the first place. I just did an astrology read, looking at, what is the purpose? What was the blueprint? What did we set up in this lifetime? And it's so refreshing when you start to recognize that you are breaking out of those patterns. You are breaking out of the restrictions. You are breaking out of the baggage that you brought in from your previous lifetimes. And you're stepping fully into your mission and your purpose and your power. And this is all about finding that. It's all about, on that journey, coming to those truths, coming into that self-realization, about stepping into your own power and your unique path and fully embodying that. That's what it's all about. So I'm curious to know how 2023 was for you. What were some of the big themes that you were seeing playing out in your life, and then also what you were observing for the collective? What are some of the challenges and lessons that were brought forward for you? And more importantly, what are the things that you're proud of? What are the achievements that you have tackled this year that you can look back and say, I did that. I did that. Even if it was just, I recognize something about myself. I recognize I have a tendency to do this when I have this happen. Those are all wins, and they're big wins when you become more conscious of being aware of yourself. So yeah, share in the comments if you have some specific things that you have recognized this year about yourself or about the collective. I'd love to hear from you. So as we move into 2024, the energies are going to move us in a direction that, again, are not going to allow us to compromise on our missions. We are in the process of locking and loading in these last few pieces as we wrap up 2023 and await the final retrogrades that we have been experiencing this year to go direct. For 2024, we are entering an 8-year in numerology. This is all about our success. This is all about prosperity. It's all about balance. It's also about our karmic debts. What's our karma? This is a power number. It's ruled by the planet of Saturn. So there are going to be a lot of lessons, a lot of teachings. After all, Saturn really wants us to move past the things that are holding us back. And the 8-year is both expansive and challenging. That's what I experienced, at least. So I'm curious to see how this plays out for the collective. I think it will be definitely all of that and more as we move through 2024. Chiron is getting ready. Actually, I'm sorry. It already did. It moved direct December 26th. So it just wrapped up its retrograde cycle in Aries. And this went in retrograde in mid-July. So Chiron is our wounded warrior. We all have a Chiron placement in our charts. We are all working with a wound of some kind. And most of this time it's from a past life experience that we are working on overcoming in this lifetime. And when we work on Chiron individually, it also helps the collective because many of us share the same Chiron placements. We all have a Chiron placement, so there's many others that share the same Chiron placement as you. So this has been interesting. We have been unearthing our deepest woundings and insecurities this year. And we have also been dealing with a lot of shadows and darkness because this is what we have been amplifying as a collective this year. And as I started seeing clients, these lifetimes collapsing on top of each other, the amplification of these energies just became greater and greater and greater as we moved through the summer and through the rest of 2023. It also highlighted the collective shadows that we're all carrying and that need to be cleared out. In Aries, it's all about the self. It's all about the I. So this was internal work. This was deep work within ourselves. This was our own wounding. And this was a biggie. That combined with Venus being in retrograde about our relationships, man, we were playing out so much this year between ourselves and our relationships, and the shadows were fully on display. And so were the dark energies. They were coming out for a rumble this year. The next retrograde that is going direct before we complete 2023 is Jupiter, and that's going to go direct on December 31st after being in retrograde since September the 4th. Jupiter is where we expand, is where we have prosperity. And you may have felt very stagnant and stuck since early December. You may have thoughts about making some really big shifts or changes or doing something new to bring in abundance. But we've really been in a holding pattern. So just in the last couple of days, I've started to feel this momentum, this movement start to move forward. I've been very productive the last couple of days on getting things done. And when it stations direct, it's going to be in the sign of Taurus, which is all about our personal values, our finances, the things we love. So I love this placement. I absolutely love Jupiter in Taurus because I am a Taurus rising, and I'm extra excited about having Jupiter in my first house about self, and bringing in some abundance in a sign that loves abundance. So I am extremely excited about this. So let's talk about January and what we have going on for the first month of 2024. So my guides have been showing me that there is an ignition that is going to start. It's like starting up a car, but they're showing me a rocket ship actually, because we're getting ready to blast off. This also feels as though we have a more pronounced timeline split that's going to occur for the collective. We have each been having kind of our own timeline splits, and collectively we've been going through these timeline splits, and they've been increasingly a little bit more pronounced as we have moved through. Really, the big one opened, the portal to fifth dimensional consciousness opened on August 31st with that Pisces moon, full moon. And then we've continued to have these splits ever since then. And they have been intensifying. And I've been talking about the energies and how you're feeling and how you could be feeling, and all the things that have been happening. This feels like we are going to have a massive fork in the road beginning on the new year. The vision is that I've been seeing the Two of Wands card in tarot and traditional tarot, where there's a person on a path and then the path splits and you can go this way or you can go that way. And it feels like we're there and we have to decide, are we going to go down this path, which is going to take us into higher consciousness, ability for more abundance, of more oneness, of more love, or are we going to stay on the path that we've been on and we're going to continue to do the work at our pace? That's really the big split. And I keep seeing, my guides keep showing me this fast change every time I do a tarot pull for myself. It's about fast movement coming in. It's about massive change. It's about sudden and unexpected things happening. So that's the energy that I'm tapping into for myself and for some of the collective. So let's talk about the placements and what's happening on some specific dates here. So January 1st, we start the new year with Mercury going direct in Sagittarius. So the day before, we have Jupiter go direct. And then on the 1st, we have Mercury go direct in Sagittarius. So we start off with kind of this excitement and ability to be more optimistic and start to make plans for the future. So there's a lot more hopefulness within the energy beginning with the new year. And that's where I'm seeing a big celebration. I am seeing, again, this timeline split, a big celebration, a lot of optimism, a lot of hope for some of the collective as we move to January 1st. January 4th, Mars will enter Capricorn, which will give us a lot more fortitude to get things moving that we've been kind of holding on. We've been in these retrogrades, so we've been resistant and stuck in making these changes. So that will give us a lot more fortitude. It is going to be a little bit more of a trudge up the mountain energy, but Mars will give us the strength to actually make that journey. So January 11th, to me, feels like this is really going to be the new year kickoff, the New Year's resolution moment. We have a new moon in Capricorn on January 11th. And we've been in this quiet space, really working all through this month, working quietly. What do we want to bring in? What do we want to do? And this new moon is going to help us to set those plans into action. It's really, again, it's a takeoff moment. It really feels like now we can go. And 11 is a master number day. It is the day of like self-mastery. So it feels very much like, to me, it feels that this is going to be a way to move forward. On January 13th, Mercury will move back into Capricorn. So we are again amplifying our ability to set goals, to set ambitions, and to put that into words, to express what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I think the biggest day for January 20th, I mean, there's several days, but I think January 20th is going to be the most interesting day and obviously the most talked about day as well. So we have Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn together. So they are conjunct together. And Pluto and Capricorn, this has been the big story that we've been talking about because Capricorn rules all the structures, the government, the banking, the education systems. Pluto has been unearthing things that have been hidden around this. And it's in its final stage right now, its final degrees. That day, Pluto and the sun are moving into Aquarius. So they're coming together. And we are then in this dance with Pluto and Aquarius now. And that is about breaking down the structures, bringing in new ideas, bringing in innovations, bringing in ways to help the collective, the whole, versus this top-down structure that we've been in with Capricorn. So a shakeup is getting ready to occur. And Pluto is about deep transformation. It's about letting things die to bring something in new. And we have already been seeing the rumblings happening on the global stage and the political arenas. Things are shaking down, and you're bound to see more of this happening. So here we go. We are going for it big time. Now, we do have a dance because Pluto is going to have one more retrograde back into Capricorn between September and November of this year, and then it will fully station into Aquarius after that. So, this is probably one of the most important transits of our decade when the switch occurs. We are going to truly be moving from the me mentality to the we mentality. So expect more protest to arise, more questioning of authority, expect more power figures to be exposed, to transition. This is going to be more about dismantling of institutions. And for those of you in the United States, this is going to be the year for really seeing some, I think, shifts within our systems here. And the political campaigns, of course, is happening this year. So this should be interesting. On January 23rd, we have Venus moving into Capricorn, which is going to give us more stability and more loyalty in our love and our partnerships, our values, and our finances as well. On January 25th, we have the full moon in Leo. Leo is about the self. It's about our ego. It's about how we express ourselves, our creativity, our leadership. So we are releasing anything that is really holding us back from fully stepping into this and shining our light. So a lot of this focus is going to be on how do we step into our individuality? How do we step into our sovereignty? And then on January the 26th, we have Uranus going direct after being in retrograde since late August in the sign of Taurus. So Uranus likes to shake things up. It is very unexpected energy. There's lots of twists and turns that can happen when Uranus is around. And in Taurus, it's going to be related to our financial systems, our value systems, how we give and receive love. There's a lot of stuff that can go on. It's also like the earth, it's the structure. So it's tied to our food systems. Okay, so let's talk briefly about the retrogrades for 2024. The good news is that we are getting a little bit of a break until April. So we don't have any retrogrades going on until then, which means we can really move forward, especially after 2023 when we had so many retrogrades. So in 2024, we have 3 Mercury retrogrades this year. The first one will begin April 1st and go through April 24th in the sign of Aries. The second one is August 5th through August 28th starting in Virgo and wrapping up in Leo. And then November 26th through December 15th, we are in Sagittarius. Mars will be retrograde not until the very end of 2024. December 6th is when it goes into retrograde in Leo, and then it goes direct on February 24th, 2025, in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter also does not come in till later in the year, October 9th through February 4th, 2025, in the sign of Gemini. We have Saturn starting in June and going through November 15th in Pisces. So this is going to be very interesting as it relates to the political scene as well. So this is going to be a very interesting time because what Saturn has been doing, it's been in Pisces, direct in Pisces, and it's been unearthing things that are hidden. It has been exposing things. And so this is going to be a furthering of that component. And it's also going to hit at the height of the US elections and continue past election day of next year. So this one's going to be one to watch. We have Uranus. So we're currently wrapping up retrograde right now, and that ends on January 27th. Then it will go retrograde again September 1st through January 30th, 2025 in the sign of Taurus. We are going to see some big power struggles here, I think. Uranus wants to shake down the status quo. Taurus is about the embodiment. It is about the material world. It's also stubborn and fixed. So Uranus and Taurus in retrograde will be interesting as well as we start to see it try and shake some stuff down. And again, September 1st, US, the elections are November. So we've got a couple months leading up to that and then through the next year where that sign is going to go in retrograde. We have Neptune going in retrograde July 2nd through December 7th. Again, another one at the height of election cycle in Pisces. This is where we have illusions. This is where we have deceptions, where we're not able to see things clearly with Neptune. So we will, again, have some interesting dynamics happening at that time. Pluto is going to go into retrograde May 2nd. So we have that, and it will start in Aquarius, and then it will end in Capricorn October the 12th. So that's when we have that backward movement for just a little bit back into Capricorn, and then finally moving into Aquarius permanently for the next almost 2 decades, long time. And then finally, Chiron. We have it going retrograde July 26th in Aries to December 29th in Aries. So here we go. We have another round of looking at our wounds and having them come to the surface to be examined and to be dealt with. This is a repeat potentially of what we have experienced this summer with so much shadow work and deepening of self and understanding of self. The really big date for 2024, if you just want to mark this on your calendar now, and that everyone is going to be talking about, is April 8th. This is when we have a new moon solar eclipse in Aries. This is going to be possibly the most transformational event of 2024. And the United States is going to be greatly impacted by this event because the path of the eclipse will hit the states of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That is where the path of the eclipse is going to go. And that is usually where we see some disruption that can happen. Also a great view, but there could be some disruptions along this. And again, there will be more information around that, and you will start to hear everybody talking about this event. And that, folks, is a little bit about what we have in store for 2024. As I close out this episode, I want to share a little bit about where I'm at. First of all, I want to thank you all so very much for embracing and connecting with this podcast, with me and this podcast. Um, this was something that I have been wanting to do for a long time, but the timing just never felt right until this year. And I am so, so grateful to be able to share my experiences with you. And I am so very humbled when just the outpouring of love and just when you reach out, when you give feedback, I'm so very humbled. And I am so grateful to know that the things that I, go through personally, or the experiences that I have, are also helping you along your journey. And it's been such a blessing to have this ability to connect with each of you. And I am looking forward to continuing to connect with you in 2024. As I have looked and done a lot of self-examination over the past year, this has been, again, a transformational year for me on every level. And I have been looking at setting my goals for this coming year. I have been very, very focused on how can I be of deeper service to others on their journey, and how can I also assist the collective in a way that can be able to provide something that can reach more people, and being able to provide that in a way that is accessible, that is affordable. You name it. I'm looking at all of those things. And I also am looking at how do I do that without overextending myself, of not burning myself out as well. Because balance is a big theme for me this year, and moving forward and really moving into the flow of life. So I'm going deep into the feminine and going with the flow and doing things that I really, really love, but not in a way that I've always done it, which has been very heavily in my masculine energy and not going with the flow and not being in my feminine. So I'm changing those dynamics. For now, I have made a decision to stop offering one-on-one sessions and live classes. I have thoroughly enjoyed doing these over the years. I have learned so much. I have been so honored to walk alongside so many people and to be able to witness them through their journey. But I have to be honest, this past year, there was a lot of stuff, and personally and professionally. And it was so complex. And a lot of the sessions that I was doing were running between 2 and 5 hours a piece. And anyone that does energy work just knows that that's a lot of energy to be expending. And it left me depleted and realizing that this is just not a sustainable way to do things. So I am having to kind of go back to the drawing board and rethink about this stuff. What the next thing looks like is yet to be fully developed, but I do know that it's going to be aligned with what the collective is needing, and also what the astrology is showing me, and helping to solidify what that looks like. With that being said, I would ask, if you're called to it, if you're called to do so, if you would love to share with me where you're at in your journey and what are some of the things that would be helpful for you. So, are you just starting out in your journey? Are there specific things? Have you done a lot of work, and are there specific things that you would like to know more about, or specific things you would like to experience? I would love to know more about what you are working on. This really helps me to, again, hone in and define what it is that I can do to be of service to you and to others in the collective at this time. So if you are called to share, you can always leave me a message or comment in the comment section of where you're listening to the podcast, or you can also drop me an email at thestinalife@gmail.com. And I will do my best to respond to you. And also in advance, thank you very much for sharing anything that you would like to share. With that, I would like to close out this episode by sharing a oracle card that I have pulled for this collective from, it's called the Christ Consciousness deck, and it is the Self-Mastery Oracle deck from the brilliant Amanda Ellis. If you don't follow her on YouTube, I highly recommend it. She's also on Instagram and other channels. She's just a brilliant channeler. And this Oracle deck that she has created is absolutely stunning. And the card that I pulled today for the collective is the card of prayer, contemplation, and connection. And the card shows a little boy who is peacefully praying while holding a lotus flower. And in the background is a busy city, basically saying no matter where you're at and where you reside, you can take the time to sit in meditation or prayer. And I'm just going to read just a little bit of the write-up for this. It says, when you have doubts and worries, pray. When you wish to express gratitude, pray. When you need strength, pray. To be in prayer is to be present, to pause and to be still, allowing the outside world to recede and the inner one to grow. Prayer is not meant to be difficult. We don't need an ornate building to pray in. We just need ourselves in a moment to pause, breathe, and practice the art of communing with what we seek. In silence or via spoken word, prayer is a lifesaver and a life sustainer. Enjoy a moment in it today. I think it's just a great reminder for us to take the time to enjoy every moment, to be in the present, to pause, to breathe, and to be in the stillness. 2024 is going to bring so much fast movement. And as we continue to sit in our introspection caves of hibernation, where we're at now, it's very important for us to savor every moment of stillness and look inward. It's within us, within ourselves, that we have all the answers that we need. And to know that you're never alone. You're never alone. You may not be able to see your team. They may not be in the physical, but you have this amazing, vast universe around you and within you that is full of love and support surrounding you always. I am sending you all the love and light that I can to your way, and so many blessings for an amazing 2024. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please rate, review, leave a message, or share with others who may find it helpful. You can engage with me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Stina Life. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.